The first race of the 2014 WA Desert Tri-Series took place on the million-acre Kumarina cattle station, lying on the western edge of Australia's Little Sandy Desert. Not far east of Kumarina lie some of the country's most historical inland tracks and exploration routes. The Canning Stock Route is one of the world's most inhospitable off-road tracks. Drovers on horseback once herded cattle from Kumarina station along the route across the desert to the port of Darwin for export. Not much has changed in these parts, except the cattle boom has been replaced by mining and the drovers on horses with thrill seekers on motorcycles and ATVs. With some of the world's best desert terrain on offer, it was only fitting that Australia's best desert racers descended on Kumarina station for a crack at the 2014 Tri-Series. After KTM's Ben Grabham clean-swept every day of the 2013 series, Honda responded in 2014 with Glenn Hoffman Racing's Todd and Jacob Smith contesting the series. The brothers are on a hot streak, with both taking out wins in the Kondo 750 and Fink Desert races in 2012 and 2013.
Brand new bike, so just fresh off Fink, and flew in yesterday and then ran the bike in this morning basically and hopped on and rode it, so no, it was all good.
Yamaha also has a long history in the desert, and Activate Yamaha rider Josh Green joined legendary veteran rider Rodney Thagata in the pits at Kumarina. Local knowledge goes a long way in desert racing, and Northwest riders Adam Clay and young Cody Upton were both keen to either repeat their 2013 performances or improve on them. Desert racing isn't all about the top riders and teams though. For most competitors, the Tri-Series represented a chance to take a break from the rat race and hit the road with their mates or family for a road trip, old school bush camping, a chance to pit man and machine against some epic desert terrain. Just finishing each race is an achievement all its own, and the prize is a head full of stories to tell in front of the campfire for many years to come. Friday saw the running of the Prologue, which is a 10 to 15 kilometre sprint on a short course that seeds riders for the start of the 500 kilometre race the next day. Getting a fast Prologue time is essential to help minimise the dust over the next 2 days of racing. The top contenders lay it all on the line during Prologue to try and take the coveted prize of first rider off the line the next morning and a chance to attack a virgin, dust-free course. The winner of last year's race took the honours of first rider off the line in 2014, and KTM's Ben Grabham was a familiar sight and sound on the start line as he fired up the 500cc big bore desert weapon. Grabbo was instantly in business mode, and the roar of the four-stroke exhaust echoed out of the landscape as he grabbed a handful of throttle and laid the first tracks of the 2014 DMC WA Desert Tri-Series.
We're here at Kumarina Station, which is about 170 k's south of Newman, for the Kumarina 500 Desert Race. We're really excited. We've got a few of the big name riders down here this weekend. We've got Toby Price, Ben Grabham, Ivan Long, Josh Green, Rod Thagata. So we're really excited to see some of the fast guys coming along and showing us their pace.
Last-minute entrant to the previous year's Kumarina 500 race, Todd Smith, was the second rider off the line this year after giving Grabbo a run for his money in the last race of the 2013 series. Back this year with his brother Jake, their new race bikes and a bigger pit with more support, the Smith brother combo was planning a full-blown assault on the entire three-race series in 2014. Despite moving into the veterans class this year and investing more time into his successful Yamaha dealership, third off the line Rodney Thagata looked to be formidable competition as he roosted off the line on the newly designed 2014 Yamaha YZF 450.
What are your impressions of the Prologue track today?
Quite fast. It's going to get very dusty. It's sort of already piles of ball dust and whatnot coming through. Slippery. Yeah, it was all right though. It was quite a lot of fun actually. So.
I had some real fast sections in there, a couple of river crossings. You just got to watch out for tree roots and all that. It's a fast flowing corners, so it was good fun. So, and that's what this track's built for.
If you fall on the roadside, 'cause I'm ready to roll your cage, turn your page.
fast back half of the course, Rodney Faggoter blew the engine on his bike and was forced to watch from the sidelines as riders blew by, knowing he was in for a dusty fight back to the front the next day, if he could repair his bike in time. First across the line and fastest in Prologue, but the riders wouldn't know their times until they were posted later in the day after the entire field had run the course.
How was your prologue today, Todd?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Had a pretty good run, pretty clean. I haven't been on the bike for a couple of weeks, so I just sort of took it pretty easy and made sure I got through all right. Had a pretty clean run, had sort of not much dust at all, so the bike was working great and the track was a lot of fun, so it was really good.
I didn't get a good look at the Prologue track. It was a bit different to what I thought, and but I had a pretty clean run, caught a bit of dust from the riders in front, even though I was seated in the top 20, and just sort of got through. Just
been a pretty good day. We're not too sure on times and that still as yet, but felt good on the track. Felt like caught a little bit of dust, but other than that, went fairly well, so we're pretty stoked with it. We just now, wait for tomorrow and camp out tonight and make sure we get a good sleep. I'm looking forward to it. So it's a new experience, something different, but yeah, it's been fun.
Preparation for the track has been pretty intense for the last 3 months, I suppose. We've been down here every single weekend. We've had a grader down here, we've graded the track, we've spent a fair bit of time just setting up all of our infrastructure. Obviously we've got about 300 people here, so catering for that sort of number of people involves a fair bit of infrastructure. Getting all the arrows and the crosses, marking all the danger signs and getting up tape and the like, and understanding what needs to go in place in the right places so that makes the course safe.
Let's go, guys, all riders to the start-finish line.
Today I was around the start-finish line, got all the bikes off the line, helped out with race control, seen all the fast guys come through, watch a bit of action up and down the start line.
With all the riders gathered at the start, it was the Desert Master Ben Grabham in pole position on the line once again, as fellow riders and spectators began to wonder if he would ever relinquish his grip on the Tri-Series. KTM teammate Toby Price is the man of the moment in Australian off-road riding, and what better way to impress your new team manager than overtaking him on the track? Ivan Long wasn't going to let his more experienced teammates have it all their own way though. The two younger riders were breathing over Grabbo's shoulder before he even started his bike. With the all clear from the sweep riders, Andrew Payne gave Grabbo the go-ahead. He opened up the 500 EXC immediately, keen to attack every metre of the day's 250 kilometres of racing. Toby Price was fresh off his own win at Fink, and the three-time King of the Desert was looking to add the Tri-Series silverware to his bulging trophy cabinet. He charged off the line onto the course, leaving number 27 Ivan Long to continue the three-carriage 500cc KTM freight train. Todd Smith was fourth fastest in Prologue and fourth off the line on Saturday. With the entire field lined up like soldiers going into battle, one by one, riders continued to stream onto the course, disappearing into the dust-filled mulga scrub. The field was stacked in 2014 with the cream of Australian desert racing, and Ben Grabham was looking over his shoulder as the top 10 riders all pushed hard with fresh bikes and bodies, looking to gain any advantage early in the race. most riders continued to push hard as the track roughened up with the ruts and whoops beginning to deepen and berms of soft bull dust forming in the corners. Whilst making the going tougher for the competitors, it made for some great footage as the landscape exploded in a storm of red dust under the constant bombardment from man and machine. If you've ever wanted to know how it feels to crash in a rocky riverbed at 100 clicks, Freak Show Racing's Kobe Willis is about to show you. He's a tough bloke though, and we're soon back up and flying along. It's hard to tell where you are and where everybody else is with all the dust. So all the riders could do was keep their heads down and the throttle wide open as everyone battled their way around the track.
The track was really good, had a good variety of stuff. Started off in the river and it was pretty good to start with, nice and sort of flowing and pretty technical, and then we had a bit of tight stuff with some few bull dusty ruts and a bit of old track from last year, which is pretty challenging, and then open up in the mid part of the course, which is really good, like a nice long fence line and some nice high speed. The tracks are nice and fast and flowing, you know, after we got out of the creek and the tight stuff, and sort of reminded me a little bit of safari actually, and had some pretty good fun, and caught on to my brother and ended up passing him at the fuel stop after lap 1. And then just tried to ride as hard as I could for lap 2 and see where I ended up. So ended up 4th for the day, I think, which is not too bad. I'm pretty happy with that. You know, we're down a little bit on horsepower from the KTM boys, so you know, I'm only 3 minutes off the lead or something like that. So you know, I was pretty happy with that in the end.
I did 2 laps. I had a bit of an off in the riverbed first up. Lost about 5 minutes and a bit of a cartwheel. Bit of damage for Kev to fix at Freak Show Racing. Had a whopper in the creek.
Doing all right there?
Yeah. Thank you.
As each rider pulled into the pits after lap 1, it was a quick splash of fuel, wipe off some dust, clean the goggles, a gel shot and back onto the course for lap 2. As the temperature rose, so did the race speeds, with the quads taking a pounding through the rough sections and faster riders earning a ticket to the exclusive 160 Club on the long, smooth fire roads that are the trademark of the Kumarina 500. With the leaders coming into traffic from lapped riders, the course became a dusty, high-speed melee as riders raced and jostled for position. And as the dust from day one's racing settled, we caught up with some of the organisers and competitors as they worked on their bikes and prepared for another 250 kilometres the next morning.
Yeah, we had a really great day today. It was some really tight racing, especially the KTM crew. It was an interesting finish from the KTM guys. Not what we'd actually expected. Toby come off a big win at Fink, and we were thinking he would have basically slaughtered the field, but Ivan Long actually come out in front, so that was an interesting result for day one.
Yeah, here at the Tri-Series, didn't do too bad the first day. Made my way up to the front, so I started off on third, so qualified third and started third on the first day, and yeah, come home with about a 14-second lead, so that was pretty cool.
Didn't have a bad day. You know, just struggled a bit early this morning, and you know, sort of got into my rhythm around the fuel stop, the 60k mark.
Yeah, no, today was pretty good. I just cruised along and did my own thing, and I struggled a little bit with speed.
It's pretty good, skatey, scary. Yeah, made it.
Ended up 5th for the day, which is a little bit disappointing, like a fair bit behind the leaders, which is sort of a bit disappointing for myself. But tomorrow's another day, and hopefully make a few little changes to the bike, and we'll get a bit more pace out of it and try and hold my own tomorrow.
Good. What's going on? How are you, man? How you doing? Got some good footage or?
Sure did, man.
Oh, you got that thing on, have you?
Australia truly is the lucky country, and the countryside surrounding Kumarina can only be described as ancient and epic. Shaped and eroded by hundreds of millions of years of exposure to the elements, the landscape and rock formations in this area are among the oldest dated on Earth. With the generous support and cooperation of the pastoral leaseholders of some of the largest cattle stations in the world, competitors in the Tri-Series are treated to the full desert experience, without the complication and extra cost of using navigational equipment, allowing the average rider to participate in the race series that rivals the experience of some of the greatest races on Earth. After a quick breakfast and the morning's riders briefing, everyone made quick last-minute repairs and geared up for another day of epic desert battles. Ivan Long was the only rider to start a Tri-Series stage in front of Ben Grabban, and he tore away from the line, determined to try and hold off the inevitable onslaught from his teammate Toby Price.
And started at the front of the pack on the Sunday, led the first lap, so I knew Toby was still coming.
The first day went really well. I got through and I was only about 14 seconds behind, so then today, yeah, we just got into a good groove, the bike felt good, and yeah, got to the front, and then just tried to make it a smooth, clean run and a good race.
Brad Smith performed well in last year's Tri-Series and was determined to do even better this year, with his eye on the overall quad class win in 2014. He had the lead, now all he had to do was keep it for the next 1,250 kilometres of the series. The Smith brothers, Kobe Willis, Jake Watling and the rest of the top 10 were still in contention, so Sunday's pace was fast, furious and the track was rough as guts.
Just kept going, and after me a second fuel stop, just had a little bit of a breather and the fuel was leaking everywhere, it was going everywhere, and I just looked down for 1 second in the creek and just had a bit of a mistake and cartwheeled, but and let Toby have the lead. But other than that, it was a good lead. So I just kept in Toby's dust all the way, and I think it was only about 10 seconds or 15 seconds by the time we come across the finish line. So overall, pretty happy. So this is the first tri-series that I've done. Yeah, pretty stoked.
With riders dropping like flies due to fatigue and bike failures, the sweep riders were kept busy. And even Brent smoothly recovered a bike from the river with his helicopter before heading out to chase the leaders from the air. The top riders were holding it wide open, and at top speed, even the helicopter struggled to keep up. Toby Price was fastest over the weekend and took out the overall at Kumarina with a time of 4 hours, 37 minutes and 8 seconds, moving into first place overall in the Tri-Series. Ivan Long was second across the line, finishing just over a minute slower than his teammate with a time of 4 hours, 38 minutes and 17 seconds. Grabo rounded out the top three overall at round one with a 4:42.09.
First across the line today, how'd you go, man? Yeah, all good, had a good run, so yeah, can't complain, just got through nice and clean, and yeah, we're stoked. It's a good track out there, pretty fast, so yeah, we got there at the end, so that's the main thing.
So leaving Kumarina, the series headed west to Durawara station. The Durawara 500 is the home race for the Desert Motorcycle Club, and the track has been sculpted by desert racers for desert racers.
We're out at Durawara for the second round of the Tri-State Series. So this year they've extended the track. It's about a 125k loop. with a big river section apparently, so looking forward to that tomorrow, and over the weekend we've got about 500 k's to race.
Yeah, the track was pretty full on. It's got a bit of everything in there. It's really rocky out there. It was one of those tracks you had to be right on your toes, and I had a few big moments out there.
Yeah, fast, really fast.
Oh, it was pretty good. I thought it was a bit different last year. We had more moisture last year. It sort of was grippy, but yeah, everyone got around.
Few animals, and then a lot of trees, and too much speed.
That was a hard race, man. I was under a lot of pressure.
The track is mint. Really good track. But hard work on one of these.
Durawara lies on the banks of the mighty Gascoyne River, about 120 kilometres inland from Carnarvon, where WA's longest river meets the sea. The pits lie on the edge of a huge lake bed that floods when the river flows, but was dry this year, forming a rock-hard clay band that led off into the coastal desert dunes.
Cool, a couple of weeks ago, yeah, we're at Hattah Desert Race, and now we're back over here in WA for the second round of Tri-Series, and looking forward to it. It's kind of pretty similar, kind of layout the way it is, but yeah, with Hattah it was just a complete sand track, whereas here you get a wide variety of like conditions here compared to there, and yeah, you get a bit of everything here. You get rocks and sand, hard pack, yeah, a bit of loose stuff, so it's pretty good, so we're looking forward to it.
Today we had Prologue, roughly 13k track. Some very fast sandy sections out the back there over some nice sand dunes, which are good.
At Rego, the KTM team was missing rider-manager Ben Grabham, who was sitting out the rest of the series with an injured wrist. Toby Price was now on a desert race hat-trick, taking out Fink 2014, the Kumarina 500 and then Hattah. Whilst looking to make it 4 from 4, the big man of Australian off-road was happy to be back in WA for some great racing and a chance to relax and enjoy the amazingly fun Durawara spirit. Jake Watling was the fastest seated rider from last year and tore off the line, keen to back up his strong performance at Kumarina.
Good luck. Thanks, mate.
Riders were amped and wished each other good luck as Rocket Rod Faggoter tore away second from the line. Brody Black is back and he was third away, followed closely by the number 4 bike of Kobe Willis from Freak Show Racing, who had had a great finish in the top 10 with his older brother Jai in the 2013 series. The KTM duo of Price and Long and the Smith brothers did not compete in the Tri-Series last year and tore off the line, unseated and just outside the top 10, with lots of dust to cop on their way forward towards the front of the race. Local gun Adam Clay was also on the hunt and kept it wide open, hoping to get a good result in Prologue and start the top 5 the next morning. Russell Scoble had just returned from some great rides in the US and wasn't scared to let the big bore E3 bike do its job properly. DMC co-founder and super volunteer Warren Kempton is your typical Aussie, short of words, tough as nails, but underneath is a bloody great bloke who loves to ride his bikes and would lend anyone a hand if they needed help. It wasn't long until the quads were off the line and series leader Brad Smith tore away, blanketing the course with a huge shower of roost. The rest of the quads were in hot pursuit behind him as they took a battering, holding the big beasts wide open on the rough track. The rest rest of the classes raced off into the desert, and more aggressive riders were holding it open and railing the sandy berms at high speeds, as others did their best to stay on the track through the fast sections and keep it upright through the soft sandy corners. KTM rider Lewis Kelvin was holding his own as Grabo stand-in, and he showed he is just as good at desert racing as he is at tripling 80-foot jumps in the WA State Motocross Championship. Young local rider Cody Upton was looking good on the 250cc bike after his win at round 1 and was noticeably faster than his E1 competitors during Prologue, wailing the small bore Demon Honda as fast as many bikes nearly twice its capacity. After 10 minutes, a cloud of fast-moving dust appeared on the horizon, and Jake Watling blazed into sight on his yellow Suzuki. He crossed the line with a 10.27, which was just good enough to seat him in the top 10 in 9th place. Kobe Willis had his dad and brother Jai in the pits, along with Kevin and the Freak Show crew, and he came home in 11th in Prologue and in a good position to start the next day. Back on the track, the Honda and KTM boys were giving it everything they had as they battled for every second. They were on the edge and had plenty of sketchy moments that required a 100% commitment as the boys battled for the Friday win.
Day 1 on the Friday for Prologue, it didn't do too bad. I was a bit nervous starting off behind Toby trying to chase him down, so ended up just in front of him by only a couple of seconds, so it's pretty cool.
Finished Prologue. Didn't have a bad run, it was nothing special, you know, the track was pretty slippery and sort of didn't really know where I was going, so you know, I did lay down a decent time I think, and you know, didn't really set the world on fire, but did what I had to do, and hopefully I get a decent start position for tomorrow and see how we go. Should be good fun.
We've got Brad Smith, he's won at Kumarina and Dale Harris, and both doing really well, so we'll be hunting them down this week.
Back on four wheels, it was Brad Smith fastest on the day, finishing 5 seconds ahead of second-placed quad rider Dale Harris, who was determined to try and take the lead that Brad held on to through the first race of the series. Zane Mogg was 20 seconds further back in third, with the rest of the quads bunched up behind him. Adam Clay finished Prologue 1 second in front of Lewis Kelvin, and little did they know that this would develop over the next 500 kilometres into one of the most fiercely contested head-to-head battles of the 2014 series.
Things went pretty good for me today at the Prologue, got 7th overall, so that was good. The track's pretty dusty and it was a bit of a pain catching up to a few people and made it tough to pass with the dust, but happy with that, and hopefully we can make up some positions and go from there tomorrow and Sunday.
Yeah, we had a great day today. Obviously, this is the first round I'm not riding due to just my wrist playing up. Got to get some surgery next week, but couldn't ask for much more. We've got Ivan in front and Toby behind him for the start tomorrow, and then it's Lewis's first time out in probably what you'd class as the real desert, and he's in the top 10 there, so it's all looking good.
Yeah, day 1 here at the round 2 of the Tri-Series went fairly well. Really dusty, it was pretty crazy out there.
The Durawara track is a favourite for many of the riders, and everyone was chomping at the bit to get their bike sorted, tape up their hands and get out into the desert.
Yeah, it was a pretty good day today. Like, the track was good, totally different to last year. It was drier, a lot of surprises, especially there's about a 10k sand dune section that's pretty good fun coming over them. You don't know what's on the other side. But yeah, a good run.
Pretty dusty today, so got a pretty good start, but yeah, not too bad. It just held off Toby as much as I could. I think I didn't do too bad a job, but yeah, made a couple of little mistakes in the river crossings and that, and just laid it on the ground a couple of times. But no, happy with the result so far. Starting off second, just to make the navigation bit a bit easier was probably a bit of a wrong choice. It made it a lot harder. So yeah, Ivan was out front. We caught up to him fairly early.
Brodie Black was third fastest in Prologue and was playing for sheep stations on Saturday. The rest of the pack joined the hunt one by one, and soon the landscape was alive with hundreds of red dirt vapor trails and sudden explosions of earth that sent dust into the sky like miniature volcanic eruptions. The clay pans on the track are smoother than the Autobahn and perfect for a test of one's nerves and the rev limiter. Jacob Smith was in fine form as he opened it up and hung on for the ride. Kobe Willis is on the level and slammed his YZF into a ditch just as the baseline dropped, making pretty clouds of dust in time to the music. Warren Kempton was also in on the act, slam dancing his way along the first straight, looking like a kid on Christmas morning with his new bike. As the track became more familiar and race lines became worn in, the riders started to enjoy themselves, popping little jumps, scrubs and nose bumps over every mound or dune they crossed. At the end of lap 1, Ivan and Toby had pulled ahead by a couple of minutes over Brodie Black, the Smith brothers and the rest of the field.
Yeah, just once we got up real close to him and in the dust, I couldn't see a thing, and yeah, basically did the whole first lap. Got through not too bad, and then I was right behind him, and then came into the river section, and yeah, we're just coming out of there, and I hit a rock or something and went over the bars, and yeah, so I just bunged my hand up a little bit.
I'm losing you, I'm losing you. Oh, but these thoughts won't let you go, they keep running back to you.
Jacob Smith was next into the pits and quickly refueled, then hit the gas for lap 2 and another 125 kilometres of high-speed heaven. Older brother Todd and the rest of the field were not far behind as riders pitted and poured back onto the course. Back in the Gascoyne, it was a flat-out drag race, with plenty of room for the brave to pass on the wide, flat riverbed.
Started off not too bad in fifth, and had a bit of trouble with dust getting around Brody Black. He's going pretty good for the first sort of lap and a bit, and got him in the river on the second lap, and then started charging forward and sort of caught up to Jacob a little bit, and then ended up coming in fourth today, so a little bit behind the leaders, but pretty fair run. It's quite dusty, so it's quite hard to pass, and it should be all go for tomorrow.
Breathe it in. It's just now. We're just falling, and we won't always free fall back to nothing. 'Cause I'm just starting to learn. I've always been chasing.
Ivan Long was still out in front by a few seconds, screaming down the guts of the mighty river like a low-level jet fighter. Heat-seeking missile Toby Price was locked onto his tail, and it became clear that failing disaster, the rest of the series was a two-man race to the finish. Jacob Smith was 3 minutes behind the leaders and had now pulled clear of his brother Todd and was in position to capitalise if either of the top two ran into trouble. Adam Clay was in sixth place at the end of the day, but would be in for some tough competition the next day all the way to the finish line. Rocket Rod was holding down his own in fifth place on Saturday and was loving every second of it on his Yamaha. Ivan Long was first across the line, but teammate Toby Price was faster on the day by 20 seconds and took the overall series lead.
Yeah, I think we finished in front, maybe just by a bit, and then so hopefully tomorrow it'll give us a bit of a clear run and be a little bit easier and go from there. But it's been good fun.
After some late-night antics, riders woke up at dawn and started to prepare for the final 500 kilometres of dusty desert attrition at Durawara. Toby Price was now in the hot seat, and only Ivan Long seemed capable of keeping in sight of Toby's dust. He dropped the hammer and took off after Toby as they headed towards the river. Toby Price was sailing out front with a 500cc KTM Desert machine, loving everything the Durawara Desert could throw at it. Ivan Long was following him like a fly at a barbecue as the two KTM riders continued to inch ahead slowly. Weaving through the trees along the river's edge, one by one riders dropped down the rocky flood banks and into the Gascoyne for the last time in the series. Despite being outgunned by the larger capacity KTMs, Jacob Smith was determined to wring every possible ounce of horsepower out of his Honda, and he managed to stay within a couple of minutes of Ivan and further strengthened his grip on the third place in the series. From years of riding, training and racing, the top riders are physically and mentally on another level to your average rider, and just watching them ride at race speeds is an experience that is out of this world. Once you're a member of the 160 Club, racing takes on a whole new perspective, as the top riders risk it all in a high-stake precision game of dodge as they duck and weave across the landscape at speeds much faster than overtaking on your average freeway. This is it, the love, the ride, the adrenaline-pumping feeling of weightlessness as you fly across the Earth's surface. It's captured mankind's spirit since the first Neanderthal ran for his life chased by a predator. The moment the first human tamed the horse, then sat on its back and rode for the first time with the wind in their face and ground rushing past beneath their feet. This is why we ride. Desert racing can be one of the most dangerous forms of racing. And when things go wrong badly, the consequences can be deadly. Tragically, whilst competing in the 2013 Australasian Safari and pushing hard in the top 10 placed riders, Tri-Series co-founder, husband, father, son, mate and true racer and rider Ivan Urseg crashed on a stage not far from Durawara and passed away doing what he loved so much. He touched the hearts of all of those he met. A small container of Ivan's ashes was scattered on the finish line at each race at the 3 races of the series he was such a big part of creating and promoting. The 2014 Tri-Series was run in Ivan's honour, and he was in the hearts and minds of all those who attended and had the honour of knowing him. Knows all too well the dangers after recovering from horrendous injuries sustained in a crash in 2012. He has fought his way back up to the top and just truly loves to ride his bike. Ivan was playing wingman just behind Toby, and Jacob Smith was still doing his best to hunt them down a couple of minutes back. Todd Smith and Rod Faggoter were not far behind, rounding out the top 5. Lewis Kelvin had found his desert form and was moving up the ranks, catching Adam Clay at the entrance to a long sandy track on the ridge of a sand dune. The KTM rider clicked it into moto mode and gave the big 500 a squirt, hitting a small rise and passing Adam in the air on an uphill section of the track. He landed hot and clipped a small sandbank on the edge of the narrow trail, exploding into a spectacular scorpion. Lewis remounted and tore off after Adam, determined to make back the lost time. Young Cody Upton was still leading the 250s in the E1 class and was enjoying himself, mixing it up with the top riders. Jake Watling was also having a great race, improving on his performances in last year's series and pressuring for a top 5 finish if the Suzuki could stand up to the punishment. Brad Smith still had the lead in the quad class as the riders neared the end of lap 1. Toby Price pulled into the Durawara pits for the last time of the weekend and tore off as quickly as he arrived. Ivan Long was next in for fuel and didn't hesitate as he launched back onto the course for the final lap of the Durawara 500. Jacob Smith was third into the pits and back out on the track. Toby Price was having a ball as it was smooth sailing out in front, knowing he had his teammate Ivan behind him watching his back. Toby attacked and dropped 3 minutes off his average lap times, putting 4 minutes between himself and Ivan in second place. With the biggest payday in Australian desert racing on the line, the Tri-Series began to see team tactics play out in the pits and on the track. Todd Smith wasn't far behind his brother in fourth place as he pulled into the pits before heading out on his final lap. Adam Clay pulled into the pits, still holding off Lewis Kelvin with a short lead, but the KTM recruit had him in his sights now and was not going to let him get away again. Adam tore away, followed straight after by Lewis, who was gunning for him and having a great race as the stand-in for Ben Grabham. Adam made a mistake and crashed on the final lap, and Kelvin finally charged past, almost catching Rod Faggoter on the track and overtaking him on time by almost 2 minutes. Despite being knackered, all the riders dropped the hammer on the final lap as they battled for position over the last 125 kilometres of the Durawara 500. Toby Price emerged from the dust triumphant and continued his charge towards the Tri-Series trophy.
Yeah, the first lap went fairly well. Just come across a few kangaroos and a bit of wildlife, but yeah, got through that, and then yeah, just put a bit of a solid lap in, and then Longy was catching a little bit, so yeah, just went a little bit quicker in the second one and got through. So it was a good day. Other than that, we yeah, got through pretty much unscathed, and yeah, we're looking forward to the last one now.
Ivan Long was next out of the dunes, finishing the race just under 4 minutes behind Toby.
I didn't do too bad. It's the first lap I sort of put my head down and rode my own race and sort of stayed in Toby's dust, and after the second fuel stop he just had a quick look behind and knew I was coming, so he upped the pace, and yeah, it's by then we started getting into lappers, and then it started being a little bit harder to actually make up that time. So, but yeah, no, hats off to him. He's run really well this year. But yeah, the whole KTM team going 1 and 2, it's really awesome.
Jacob Smith cruised across the line first in the E2 class and in third place overall at Durawara and the Tri-Series. Older brother Todd Smith was 4th overall at Durawara and 4th overall in the Tri-Series with 1 round to go. Lewis Kelvin finished up strong and made 2 places on the final lap, rounding out the top 5 overall at Durawara. Rod Faggoter took out the veterans class and 6th place overall, putting in a great ride over the weekend's 500 kilometres. Adam Clay toughed it out for a third place finish in E2 and 7th place overall at Durawara. Cody Upton was way out in front in the E1 class and fast enough for 15th overall. Dale Harris dropped the hammer on the final lap, passing Brad Smith to take the quad class win by just over 3 minutes. So, with 2 rounds down and 1 to go, the series took a 1-month break before heading north to Indy Station, 80 kilometres south of the booming mining terminal of Port Hedland. Less than an hour's drive from the busiest iron ore port in the world sits one of the toughest off-road racetracks on Earth, and the Tri-Series competitors were in for a battering in the final round. After making the trip to the Pilbara for the final round, competitors awoke to the epic landscape that is Indy Station. 2014 was the 10th anniversary of the Indy 500 Desert Race and the second year that it was incorporated into the WA Desert Tri-Series. The Port Hedland Motorcycle Club hosts the race, and it's renowned for being tough on both man and machine. Indy combines all the elements of desert terrain into one super rough track that challenges riders from start to finish. The track began near the homestead in a dry, dusty creek bed, then headed out on a series of station tracks towards the rocky hills that Indy Station is famous for. After traversing over and through a selection of the hills on the southern end of the course, it dropped back down onto the flats as riders turned west towards the first of 2 long, flat riverbed sections through deep sand, which worked engines to the limit as riders pushed their bikes to keep up momentum and stay on top of the boggy, speed-sapping surface. The northern part of the track was much the same, with an unending mix of rough, rocky terrain. Completing a lap of the Indy track is a tough ride. Racing 4 laps in a weekend is a test of endurance that pushes the limits of even the best riders in Australia. A short course juniors race was held each round of the Tri-Series. It was great to see the next generation of the sport out on their bikes and having a blast at the start of each round. The inclusion of the juniors race made for a really family-friendly atmosphere at each round of the series, and the kids were having a blast, whether it was on the track or playing in the bush and around the camp. Getting back to the seniors, it was Adam Clay first off the line for Friday's Prologue as the highest ranked rider from 2013's Indy 500. Rod Faggoter was lined up second, and Adam's brother Luke Clay was in third behind Rod. With a thumbs up from the riders, it was time to start the last event of the 2014 Tri-Series.
Just stay tight, we have to go. Stay with me while we leave. Don't worry, just believe me. This journey will leave us. Stay with me while we leave. Stay with me.
Freak Show Racing's Kobe Willis was away in 4th place as he tore off, heading towards the rocky hills that divide the southern part of the station. After 10 minutes, Adam Clay came charging into sight and crossed the line with a time of 10 minutes and 19 seconds, which was good enough for 7th place in Prologue. 40 seconds later, the Tri-Series leader Toby Price tore away from the start. Followed by Ivan Long, a minute behind. With that, the Indy 500 final round of the Tri-Series was on like Donkey Kong. Toby Price was fastest once again, blazing into sight and across the line with a 9-minute 36. Ivan Long could have been faster, but his bike carried the telltale signs of a crash somewhere on the track, and he finished with a creative line into the final straight 12 seconds behind teammate Toby. The Smith brothers were determined to push the KTM boys to the very end of the 1,500-kilometre series. Todd was the fastest in E2 on Friday and finished 11 seconds behind Ivan in 3rd place overall with a 9-minute 59. Jake Watling placed consistently in the top 10 overall so far in the series, and he stepped it up at Indy, determined to challenge for a top 5 position in the Prologue. Lewis Kelvin was back for the final round and rounded out the top 5 in the Prologue at only his 2nd desert race. In the quads, it was Brad Smith back in front, followed by Stuart Williams in 2nd. Zane Mogg rounded out the top 3 quads in Prologue. Young KTM rider Lockie Kennedy flew over from South Australia for the last round and had a spectacular crash not far from the start line. Luckily, he was okay, but he scrambled back to his bike, remounted, finishing in 41st place overall and 2nd in the Pony Express class. Sam Perkins also had a spectacular crash, getting bucked over the finish line and relocating the timing tent in the process. He was okay though, and more worried if he'd broke the tent. With a Prologue run and done, competitors prepared their bikes and bodies for the next 2 days' gruelling racing. For most riders, that meant a big meal and early to bed. But there was plenty of revelry around the pits, with support crew and spectators keeping the fires fueled late into the night. Saturday morning, 1,000 kilometres down, 500 to go.
This track's brutal, but it's probably the hardest round out of all of them. The lap's also longer as well, being 135 k's. So yeah, doing I think it's about 1 hour 20 or 1 hour 25 out there. So it's a good fun track. It definitely puts your body and the bike to the test.
Yeah, the track's pretty good. Bit of river, a bit of fast straights and a bit of rock.
It was pretty hairy. You just had to make sure you stick to your line and didn't go off track. It was pretty crazy out there.
The track's super rough.
It's very rough and demanding track out there.
Yeah, the track is quite demanding, especially coming out of retirement pretty much. Not much training. It's very, very rough.
The track's really brutal. Probably worse than last year, I'd say. The temperature's gone up a lot too. So there's, yeah, lots of guys are feeling it, I think.
Tri-Series leader Toby Price tore away from the line, determined to defend his lead. Teammate Ivan Long was right behind him and opened up the KTM with anger. Todd Smith was 3rd away on the GHR Honda and took off after Ivan and Toby, determined to keep sight of their dust. Jake Watling stepped it up at Indy, starting in the top 5 after qualifying 4th the day before. Out on the track, Todd Smith was on the gas, knowing that if he pushed hard through the brutally rough sections of the track at Indy, he could negate some of the advantage the larger capacity 500cc KTM machines had in the river and on the open straights.
Day 1 of Indy 500's gone fairly well. Got off to a good start. Yeah, we all got through pretty good. The first lap went well.
Not too bad a day. I qualified 2nd yesterday, so yeah, didn't do too bad. Yeah, today just start behind Toby and just try to keep in his dust as much as I could, and yeah, just eventually I slowly started catching him a little bit.
Not many tracks offer the sheer variety of terrain that Indy 500 serves up. And to celebrate the 10th anniversary, the track markers cut in an epic ridgeline section that tested riders' nerves as they tried to ignore the potentially nasty drop to their right-hand side. Todd Smith attacked the section, hoping to make up time on Ivan and Toby wherever the track was chopped out.
It's our first time up here at this race. It was a really good track. First lap went really well. Sort of kept with the leaders a little bit, which was pretty. I was pretty happy with.
Started in 7th. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I had a few bike problems with this thing, which is not good. Yeah, got it home. I think we're sitting in 5th.
Kind of started pretty good, and I caught up to the guy in front of me by the first fuel stop, and then just after that managed to make the pass. Then I got into the river and missed the turn, and yeah, went up river a bit too far.
Today went not bad in the first lap, got a bit fatigued in the second lap. It was very rough and demanding track out there.
Cody Upton was tightening his grip on the E1 class. Despite the popular belief that 250s are no good in the desert, he managed to pass more than his fair share of big boars, wailing past them on a bike with almost half the capacity. Brodie Black let Rod Faggoter past and tried to keep pace behind. But you have to eat your Wheaties to keep up with Rocket Rod, and he washed out on a fast corner, giving thumbs up to Damon Stokey, who flew by, gaining a position on the track. Back at the start, the quads were staged, and Brad Smith was in the hot seat. He had the series lead, he had the fitness, but Indy Station has a habit of breaking quads, so it's not over till the fat lady sings. The quads tore away, knowing they were in for a punishing weekend. Having double the wheels only made the track twice as rough for the riders in the quad class. As the rest of the field filtered onto the course, everyone battled to ride their own race, with conditions challenging every competitor to their limit.
And then yeah, we just tried to put down another good lap in the second one, and then the heat started to kick in a little bit. I'm not too sure on what it got to, but yeah, we drank all the Camelback, and make sure you had to try and stay on top of your hydration. But that was a good day. I think we pulled a little bit today, and hopefully should make it a good, comfortable ride tomorrow. But anything can happen. Still another 250 k's to go.
A minute later, Ivan Long pulled into the pits and after a quick refuel, took off into the desert after Toby. Todd Smith was only 2 minutes behind Ivan and was having a great race so far.
Second lap of the track roughed up fairly well, and it's a pretty warm day today, so I ran out of water a bit and had to slow down a bit towards the end of the lap. Things were getting a little bit fuzzy, but yeah, ended up third for the day, which I'm really happy with. The Honda ran great today and handled really well, so looking forward to tomorrow.
Back out in front, the Toby and Ivan show continued to dominate the desert landscape, showing great fitness and determination in the sweltering heat. The riverbed gave riders a break from the chopped-out track, but worked their bikes to the limit, the deep sand straining engines to their breaking point.
Your jaw dropped with a look of surprise. You didn't see me coming. I found my way to you, no trouble at all. Now it's time for the killing. My anger pours with the blood of the innocent, and now it's you that's shaking. I may be soaking wet, but my vengeance is reaping. So you best be prepared. And I was supposed to be forgotten. I was supposed to be left in the trunk of the car that you rode into the lake. And you lied to me for why are you running? Did you think no one could know, or that it won't come back on you? You made an error that has come back to get you. You should have made sure. And I was supposed to be forgotten. I was supposed to be left in the trunk of the car that you rode into the lake. You lied to me for
I can't find my way back to you until you make amends with the demons you've been through.
Brad Smith was on fire. The only quad in the top 20 overall. He put 13 minutes between himself and second-placed quad rider John Alano on the first lap alone in what was one of the great rides of the series. By now, everyone was just battling to bring it home without damaging their bikes or their bodies before the last 250 Ks of the series the next day. The thought of a cold beer or Jacks waiting in the pits kept many riders going when they had nothing left in the tank.
Until you find your way back home.
Todd Smith kept up the pace in third and was only 2 minutes a lap slower than Ivan on lap 1 and 2. The leaders headed into the rocky hills on the northern part of the track and then turned south heading home after a tough day in the saddle for everyone. Toby Price was first back into the pits and crossed the line with a time of 3 hours, 17 minutes and 36 seconds, and only 250 kilometres now stood between him and his first Tri-Series title. Ivan Long. Wait, that's not Ivan. Ah, there he is. Ivan Long blasted into the pits as fast as he left them, 3 hours, 19 minutes and 29 seconds later.
I can't regret leaving you alone until you find your way back home.
All right, here we go, people. The penultimate day of the 2014 DMC WA Desert Tri-Series. Indy Station turned on another perler as riders geared up and waited to start the final 250 kilometres of the series. For some, there was a heap of cash on the line, but for every rider lined up, it was the pride of being able to say they finished 3 of Australia's toughest races that really mattered. Everyone was stoked and looking forward to some sick riding, then letting their hair down at the 10th birthday party of the Indy 500 later that night. We waved goodbye to Toby Price for the last time in the series, and short of his bike blowing up, Toby wasn't going to be beaten over the final 250 kilometres of the series. Ivan took off a minute later, no doubt under orders from Grabbo to protect Toby's lead or pull over and switch numbers and bikes in the bushes if he broke down. Todd Smith was looking for 3rd place overall at Indy and in the Tri-Series if he could keep his position on the track. Ah yeah, gotta love the sound of the sax with a shot of a freight train. Speaking of freight trains, Toby Price was loving the sound of his KTM 500 at full song as he skipped across the short moonscape section not far from the start. 30 grand is a big payday, and Toby was determined to finish the series as dominant as he started it 2 months and over 1,250 kilometres earlier. Ivan Long continued to throw his bike around the track, boosting off anything he could find and tearing every corner to pieces. With his naked party tricks, deadly riding skills and huge dose of madness, Ivan Long is sure to become one of the legends of Australian desert racing over the years to come. Okay, hit pause, go to the toilet, grab a beer and take the phone off the hook because here comes the grand finale of the 2014 DMC WA Desert Tri-Series. We take to the air with Smoothie Helicopters and join the 160 Club for a rollercoaster ride alongside some of the country's fastest off-road riders. Unedited, uncut, just for your personal enjoyment. This is pure desert racing heaven. Privateer Adam Clay was in 5th place overall and continues to mix it with the country's best racers, despite being a down-to-earth lad from Karratha with a day job Monday to Friday. Damon Stokey was having a great ride at Indy in 4th place overall and 2nd in the E2 class. Gun pilot Brent Smoothie pushed the chopper to its limits in an amazing display of low-level flying. The helicopter rattled and groaned under the stress of the G-force as the engine redlined, struggling to keep pace with the top riders as they flew across the landscape in an equally amazing display of piloting skills. Back on the ground, riders got in on the act as they took to the sky for their own version of low-level flying. Brad Smith wasn't going to let the two-wheel brigade have all the fun as he sent his quad bike down the track and hit the gas. Todd Smith was 3 minutes ahead of Damon in third place as he wove through the trees that dotted the floodplains. We finally caught up to series leader Toby Price as he charged across the desert, smooth sailing out in first place and seemingly unbothered by the hot conditions or the rough terrain as he carved it to pieces corner by corner, straight by straight. Flying so low that at times you could smell Toby's exhaust fumes, it was amazing to watch a true master at work. Somebody who loves what he does and has worked tirelessly to get to the top of his game. Toby Price is now mixing it up with Dakar legend Mark Comer and the KTM Factory Rally team, riding with and learning from the best in the business. Toby is looking the goods and shaping up to be one of the dominant forces on the sport's greatest stage in years to come. Ivan Long was a great addition to the KTM Desert team, and if Toby gets the call up to play with the big boys, then Ivan will likely take his place as the #1 wild man in domestic racing. He played the part to perfection, maybe fast enough to take the lead, but always watching his teammates back.
Now it's just like, man, you got to have that time where you just like disconnect from the scene, just the race. Like, and it's a race that I've created in my head, you know? But you have to step away from it.
It was smooth sailing for the Duke of the Desert, the ruler of rock, the Sultan of Sand. Toby was enjoying every second as he cruised across the landscape on his way to victory.
Changed our world and left us without warning. gaze is shifted upwards to the sky.
As they near the final fuel stop, all Toby Price had to do was nurse it home for the final 100 kilometres.
We crave for knowledge far in the unknown. Our time has come to find what we weren't shown.
Ivan Long had second place in the series all wrapped up, and he was stoked to be riding towards the finish line of his first Desert Tri-Series. Ivan was a class act all the way and made heaps of friends and fans with his friendly, down-to-earth nature. Just don't ask him to take his shirt off. After 6 hours, 32 minutes and 37 seconds of racing at Indy, it was a flawless performance from Toby Price as he crossed the line and took the title of the 2014 DMC WA Desert Tri-Series winner. Ivan Long crossed the line 6 minutes and 37 seconds behind Toby, taking second overall Indy and second overall in the Tri-Series. Taking out all three events, Toby was stoked to add the Tri-Series to his long list of achievements. Todd Smith was 15 minutes and 12 seconds behind Toby for the weekend with a great ride at Indy and over the three-race series. After 3 rounds, he was tied on points with his brother Jake in third place overall for the Tri-Series.
20 grand richer, mate. How's it feel?
Yeah, that'll definitely help the bank budget a bit. End of the day, it's not about the money, it's just out there having fun and cruising around. The track was awesome today. It got really rough there in that second lap, and it definitely feels good to get a 3 from 3, and looking forward to coming back next year and see if we can defend the title.
Battled away through with this one. It's pretty tough, especially the amount of Ks each day. So I just sort of battled away through. So it's the first time I'm actually doing this, and I think my resistance to fatigue is a little bit underestimated. But that's all right. We've got a bit of an off season now. But it's pretty stoked to actually come through with a second place, especially to Toby Price.
Third place across the line here at Indy today, Todd, and third place for the Tri-Series. How does it feel, mate?
Yeah, it feels pretty good. Bloody tough track today. It was sort of the work cut out for me. I had a crash in the first 10 Ks, which made the day pretty hard. But I'm pretty glad for it to be over, and it was a good event.
Rod Faggett brought the Yamaha home in 9th place overall at Indy, taking out the Veterans class in the Tri-Series and 5th place overall for the series.
First place bet across the line today. How was your day, Rod?
Yeah, better day than yesterday, mate. I was pretty cooked yesterday. Felt a bit cooked this morning, but sort of come good. It's pretty hard work. Everyone's drinking their water out, so now I'm happy.
Brad Smith battled all the way to the finish, taking the win in the quads at Indy and just edging out Dale Harris in the series point score to take a well-deserved win in the Tri-Series quad class.
We've got another equal place, equal third on 54 points.
His horse is sorted out. It's Todd and Jacob Smith. Second place with 66 points is Ivan Long. And third place is the Queen Slate. 3 races, 3 wins, 35 points. Old Tony Smith. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'd also thank all the competitors that come out to all the 3 rounds and put on this good show. It's been an unreal experience and it's been good to come out here. So once again, big thanks to all the BMT club. Those guys have done an unreal job. The tracks have been marked out really well and have been a lot of fun and pretty technical. So just another big thanks to the KEM Desert team and all the boys on board and all the sponsors. So can't thank everyone enough and we'll look forward to next year once again.